8. Tasha Majors. A 42-year-old female prison officer named Tasha Majors faced charges of sexual assault in 2020 after allegations of a year-long affair with a male inmate who was under her supervision at a prison in Newark, New Jersey broke out. Authorities initiated an investigation into the matter, since relationships between prison staff and inmates are considered criminal thanks to the power dynamics involved, similar to the relationship between a teacher and a student. The charges against Majors stem from her interactions with a northern state prison inmate between November 2019 and December 2020. During that time, she allegedly engaged in sexual behavior with the inmate, exploiting her supervisory and disciplinary authority as a correctional officer. Majors held a senior role at Northern State Prison and had been working there since 2007, earning an annual salary of nearly $79,576. The investigation leading to her charges was a joint effort pursued by the Attorney General's Office of Public Integrity and Accountability, along with the Corrections Department's Special Investigations Division, which handles allegations of officer misconduct. Northern State Prison, which is situated near Newark Airport, holds about 2,389 inmates with varying security levels. As the case unfolded, Majors' Facebook page was taken down. She was charged with second-degree sexual assault, but her sentencing is unclear. The incident raised many concerns about abuse of power and the need for accountability and oversight within correctional facilities to stop inappropriate relationships from forming between prison staff and inmates. 7. Jennifer Gavin. Jennifer Gavin, a former prison officer at HMP Berwyn in Wales, has been charged for her involvement in an inappropriate relationship with Alex Coxon, an inmate at the facility, during the first coronavirus lockdown back in April 2020. Gavin was bribed £150, $192 by Coxon to get him with a mobile phone, which they used to secretly continue their relationship. The illicit affair was revealed when Coxon's phone, holding explicit videos sent through Snapchat, was discovered under a laptop in his cell. During the court proceedings, it was revealed that prison authorities received information about a possible relationship between the couple. Initially hesitant to give the password for her phone, Gavin's cell data revealed contact with the inmate. Her defense lawyer described her as immature and naive, but empathetic towards inmates unable to see visitors during COVID. Gavin also said that she felt manipulated into believing she was in a relationship with the inmate. Judge Nicholas Perry was surprised that staff at HMP Berwyn wrote in support of Gavin while criticizing other prison employees. He emphasized that prison officers who misconduct themselves would likely face immediate custody. Judge Perry also highlighted that mobile phones in prisons undermine safety as a whole. He then handed Gavin an 8-month custodial sentence for misconduct. Coxon, on the other hand, was sentenced to 10 months for trying to pass a phone to another inmate using dental floss. Despite his past criminal record, Coxon's defense lawyer Simon Rogers said that he'd been making efforts to turn his life around. In the end, Gavin and Coxon faced the consequences of their actions, leading to imprisonment for their offenses. 6. Aishia Gun. In 2019, Aishia Gun, a 27-year-old prison officer at Berwyn Prison in Wrexham, was given 12 months in jail for a romantic fling with an inmate, Kuram Razak, who's serving a 12-year sentence for conspiracy to robbery. The misconduct came to light when explicit videos exchanged between Gun and Razak through mobile phones were discovered. Photos of them hugging and kissing, some taken in Razak's cell, were also discovered in Gun's bedroom. During the trial, it was revealed that Gun was a probationary officer at the Category C prison, which opened back in February 2017 when the illicit affair took place between July and November of 2016. The prosecution described the relationship as grossly inappropriate, with Razak directing Gun to perform sex acts on video. Gun also smuggled a pair of panties into the facility for Razak. They were hidden in her bra. Addressing Gun during the sentencing hearing, Judge Nicholas Perry emphasized the breach of trust she committed, given the position of power she held. He condemned her actions as a display of selfishness on a staggering scale, highlighting the severity of her actions. Razak, who faced separate charges, received an 8-month jail term after pleading guilty to having a smartwatch and phone while in prison. The judge characterized Razak as a dangerous man thanks to his lengthy criminal record, having received 2 sentences in double figures before the age of 30. The sentencing aims to uphold the integrity of the prison system and stop others from engaging in similar relationships, maintaining the trust bestowed upon prison officers in their difficult roles. 5. Sukrit Singh. In November 2018, a former corrections officer at Toronto South Detention Center, named Sukrit Singh, realized she was on the wrong side of the law after becoming romantically involved with an inmate, Tatum Ogden. Singh was accused of 2 counts of robbery for acting as Ogden's getaway driver in 2 separate incidents. One was an armed holdup at a Brampton subway shop on March 13th, and the other was a violent robbery at a business in Huntsville on March 16th. The 24-year-old Singh, who was working as an exotic dancer back then, lost her bid for freedom as Justice Joseph Bover denied her bail at College Park, saying that the Crown's case against her wasn't exactly overwhelming, but was close to it. Singh's association with Ogden began while he was still serving time, and she eventually reported to her superiors that he was contacting her through her cell phone. This led to her suspension from duty in fall 2018 for fraternizing with a career criminal who has an extensive rap sheet, including 5 firearms prohibitions. But despite her impeccable record as a jail guard, she faced serious allegations thanks to her involvement in the robberies. 32-year-old Ogden faced charges for 12 robberies. The couple's connection and alleged criminal activities came to light when Peel Regional Police tried to arrest Ogden on Rainforest Drive, where he and Singh were living. During the arrest, Ogden reportedly used Singh's mother's vehicle and crashed it into police cruisers, leading to his capture. In 2020, he was sentenced to 15 months for the robberies and other crimes. The judge appointed to his case made it clear that the only reason he got a lenient sentence was due to pandemic jail conditions. If it wasn't for that, he would have gotten 4 years for the crimes. Then, in spring 2021, Singh, who once aspired to become a police officer, was sentenced to 2 months in jail. According to news outlets, Singh found out she was pregnant with Ogden's baby in May 2019. She was 10 weeks along when she was finally accused of the crimes she committed with her prisoner of love. 4. Casey White. On April 29, 2022, the U.S. saw a dramatic 11-day manhunt as authorities searched for Casey Cole White and Vicky White, who escaped from the Laurendale County Detention Center. Casey White, a murder suspect with a history of violence, had been awaiting trial for the murder of Connie Ridgway. Vicky White, the Assistant Director of Corrections for the Laurendale County Sheriff's Office, had been working for almost 2 decades and had recently submitted her retirement papers, planning to make her last day April 29th. The escape involved an intimate connection between Casey and Vicky, who had many jailhouse phone calls during Casey's past incarceration at Donaldson Correctional Facility. On the morning of the escape, Vicky took Casey out of the facility under the guise of taking him to a mental health evaluation at the courthouse. But instead, they vanished, triggering a massive law enforcement effort to find them. Over the next few days, authorities realized that Vicky bought a copper-toned 2007 Ford Edge as a getaway vehicle. But the car was abandoned by the criminals on May 6th in a rural area of Williamson County, Tennessee. The police also learned that Casey and Vicky switched vehicles and were now supposedly driving a Cadillac. The couple was then tracked to Evansville, Indiana. A short pursuit broke out and led to Vicky shooting herself. Unfortunately, she didn't make it. Casey, on the other hand, surrendered and suffered minor injuries. Vicky's death led to Casey being charged with felony murder, since she died while he was committing a felony. He was later indicted on this charge, but his defense argued he wasn't responsible for Vicky's death because authorities in Indiana concluded that she died from self-inflicted wounds. The capture of Casey and Vicky marked the end of an intense national manhunt. In May 2023, Casey pleaded guilty to escape charges. Then, in early June, he was sentenced to life in connection to the prison break. The incident served as a reminder of the importance of maintaining trust within the correction system to prevent such dramatic escapes from happening in the future. 3. Inmate impregnates 4 female prison guards. In 2013, a smuggling gang was busted inside the Baltimore jail system, revealing that 4 female prison guards had gotten pregnant from the same inmate. The inmate, Tavon White, was associated with the notorious Black Guerrilla family, a prison and street gang. The scheme involved smuggling drugs and cell phones into the Baltimore City Detention Center. 25 people, including 13 female prison guards, 7 inmates, and 5 co-conspirators, were charged with racketeering, money laundering, and more. The female corrections officers played a critical role in helping the gang members smuggle contraband, like marijuana, cell phones, cigarettes, and prescription pills into the jail. They hid the illegal items in their shoes, taking advantage of the relaxed screening procedures in Baltimore, which didn't require employees to take off their footwear. The illicit trade allowed the gang to continue running their criminal enterprise within the facility and on the streets of Baltimore. Among the shocking details uncovered in this case were the romantic relationships between the inmate, Tavon White, and several female officers. 4 prison guards, who were identified as Jennifer Owens, Chania Brooks, Katera Stevenson, and Tiffany Linder, became pregnant while White was behind bars. Charging documents revealed that Owens and Stevenson even had tattoos of Tavon's name. White also gave 3 of the officers expensive gifts, including diamond rings and luxury cars. The indictment sought the forfeiture of $500,000 and other proceeds from the criminal enterprise. The scandal led to the suspension without pay of all 13 corrections officers involved, and the department initiated their termination. 2. Tina Gonzalez. In July 2021, a 26-year-old female corrections officer in California named Tina Gonzalez was sentenced to serve 7 months in county jail, then 2 years of probation for engaging in sexual activity with an inmate at Fresno County Jail. Gonzalez had intercourse with the inmate in front of 11 other prisoners, and during her sentencing, it was revealed that Gonzalez even cut a hole in her uniform pants to facilitate the illicit affair. Assistant Sheriff Steve McComas, who had 26 years' experience, testified in court that he'd witnessed many disturbing things during his career, but nothing as depraved as what Gonzalez did. He characterized the incident as the product of a depraved mind and expressed deep concern for her coworkers, emphasizing that she'd betrayed the oath she'd taken as a corrections officer. In addition to the sexual activity, Gonzalez was also discovered to have supplied the same inmate with a cell phone, razors, and warnings about cell searches. Despite her actions, Gonzalez pleaded no contest to the charges. During the sentencing, Judge Michael Idiart took into consideration her early plea and apparent lack of criminal history. He acknowledged the severity of her actions and said that she'd ruined her career. But he also believed in redemption and wished her luck in turning her life around. Gonzalez's actions have had significant repercussions on her career and serve as a grim reminder of the need for vigilance in preventing similar misconduct within correctional facilities. 1. Joyce Mitchell. A former prison worker named Joyce Mitchell was released from the Bedford Hills Correctional Facility in Westchester County, New York during February 2020. 55-year-old Mitchell had been accused of helping 2 convicted murderers, Richard Matt and David Sweat, in their escape from Clinton Correctional Facility in 2015. The case received national attention and later served as the inspiration for the 2018 Showtime miniseries, Escape at Dannemora. Mitchell was charged with promoting prison contraband and criminal facilitation. He was sentenced to 2 1/3 to 8 years in prison. She later admitted to the charges brought against her and was also ordered to pay $80,000 in restitution for the damages done. During the investigation, it was revealed that the inmates seduced Mitchell, who worked as a prison tailor, as part of their escape plan. She allegedly agreed to help them get out and provided them with ammunition, guns, camping gear, and more. The inmates then used power tools to cut through the back of their cells. and afterward, they broke through a brick wall before cutting into a steam pipe and making their escape. Then, Richard Matt and David Sweat finally got outside the prison walls through a manhole. Mitchell planned to meet them with a getaway car, but she backed out at the last moment, leaving the inmates scrambling to regroup. At her sentencing, Mitchell expressed remorse for her actions, saying that it was the worst mistake of her life and that she regretted it every day. Escape at Dannemora, the miniseries based on the events, gathered critical acclaim and won several awards.
8. Aishia Almira. In 2023, a 31-year-old Swedish woman named Aishia Almira proudly admitted, in her own words, that "I've erased who I used to be to become a plastic bimbo." She chose the cartoonish and controversial look on purpose. She's not one bit ashamed of it, even though many people think she's gone to ridiculous extremes to look like a Barbie doll. Almira reportedly spent upwards of 6 figures on appearance-changing procedures over a 10-year period after quitting her job in Sweden and moving to London. She's had multiple breast augmentations, a rhinoplasty or nose job, Botox injections, and filler injections in her forehead and around her eyes, cheeks, jaw, and lips. The young woman has also gotten nail-lengthening treatments and PDO threads, which is a non-surgical cosmetic procedure for facial lifting and rejuvenation. In addition to her plastic surgery and treatments, Aishia has a multitude of tattoos, sports a fake tan, and wears fake eyelashes almost daily. She's admitted in her tweets that she constantly fights a stigma against her stereotypically ditzy appearance. According to Aishia, a lot of people even assume based on how she looks that she regrets her decision to get plastic surgery. But they're wrong. And even though society as a whole may not be overly accepting of Aishia's aesthetic, it's earned her plenty of money through her OnlyFans page, where her subscribers pay to access her intimate photos and videos. And she's not wrong. While the world seems to be entering an era of embracing natural beauty, there's no denying that many people genuinely admire the so-called fake look, including men who are attracted to unrealistically large breasts and lips. It's understandable that Aishia's look is not for everyone, but she's not hurting anyone by indulging in her vision of beauty. So while people are free to dislike how she looks, it's also a tad extreme to hate on her for it. After all, as the saying goes, to each their own. 7. The Barbie Bandit. A 26-year-old mother of one from Great Britain named Georgia Warman became better known as the Barbie Bandit in early 2016, when media outlets around the world claimed that she was accused of robbing luxury homes in Buenos Aires, Argentina. According to reports, Warman was allegedly part of an armed gang of thieves who posed as cops and burglarized upscale homes and country clubs in gated communities. News sources claim that Warman and 8 others were charged in connection with at least 16 different crimes. But this turned out to be untrue, and the harm that it caused to the so-called Barbie Bandit's reputation made her scared to return to the United Kingdom after the story went viral. In a report addressing the tabloid headlines, The Guardian revealed that Warman was never expected to face charges. A legal source who worked at the agency overseeing the investigation told the outlet that the young woman was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Warman claimed that she was at the home of her partner and the father of her child, Jose Mino, when the police smashed the door in at 5:30 in the morning. She was reportedly accused of being in possession of some stolen property that was supposedly connected to the burglaries, including her own iPad, which she was able to prove was not stolen. The traumatized young mother underwent 8 hours of questioning and was released without charges after investigators concluded that she had not done anything wrong. She accused law enforcement of mistreating her, abusing their power, and manhandling her, leaving her with multiple bruises. It was later revealed that a man who police hoped to apprehend wasn't even at the property when it was raided. The unnamed individual was suspected of providing the getaway cars in at least some of the robberies. Warman told The Guardian that she did not plan to leave Argentina until the media hype over the case dwindled. And while she was deemed innocent in the eyes of the law, she wanted to clear her name in the court of public opinion before returning to England. She felt that the media's portrayal of her as a Barbie-like criminal mastermind had put her in danger, only for later reports to reveal that she was never even a suspect in the first place. 6. Toronto Barbie. In a bizarre act of alleged violence that was captured on camera in July of 2023, a woman in a pink dress and with platinum blonde hair tried to attack a man and his dog with a piece of wood on the streets of Toronto. Dubbed the Toronto Barbie, the woman could be seen picking up the 3-foot-long 2x4 at a construction site and chasing after the dog walker as he picks up his pace and tries to avoid her path. The man looked visibly frightened in the video, which showed the suspect hurling the board in his direction as he rushed around a parked vehicle and across the street. In another clip that appeared to be recorded from overhead, captioned "They got Barbie," the woman could be seen face down on the pavement while a trio of police officers subdue her. The Toronto police unfortunately did not respond to the Toronto Sun's request for a comment on the case, leaving the outcome of the ordeal a mystery. 5. Alex Lee. As you'll learn in today's video, many, if not most, Barbie wannabes do not regret their decisions to get copious amounts of plastic surgery and other cosmetic procedures. But that wasn't the case for Alex Lee, who felt ashamed of her Barbie-like appearance after starring on the reality show Big Brother in 2011. In an article she wrote for the UK Sun in 2017, Lee reflected on how she always felt super confident before she went on national TV. She described her younger self as having a size 12 hourglass figure with a size 32F chest. Her unique proportions inspired her to pursue a Barbie look, including beach blonde hair and a pink wardrobe, and she was lucky enough to do so without getting any plastic surgery. Lee said that she loved how she looked right up until she went on Big Brother 6 years earlier. In her own words, she was thrown off by how beautiful her fellow contestants were. At first, she was able to ignore her intrusive thoughts and focus on the show. And she loved every minute of it, especially after one particular episode where she won £30,000, $37,158 in a day, more than she'd ever dreamed of in her life. Even after leaving the show, Lee felt like she was on top of the world. She admittedly enjoyed her newfound fame and the fact that people recognized her everywhere she went. But her life quieted down in the months following her departure from Big Brother, and it was then that the young woman sat down to watch footage of the show. Lee said that her excitement quickly turned to horror as she watched herself on TV. During filming, she felt girly and glam, but in hindsight, she thought of herself as ugly, overweight, and disgustingly tacky in head-to-toe pink. She was so mortified that she cancelled all her upcoming public appearances and even became a shut-in. And her insecurities only worsened during her time as a recluse, when she sat at home and read the comments that people were writing about her online, which described her as ugly and resembling a transvestite. Lee was deeply hurt by the commentary and began to feel like a complete laughingstock. She felt even worse to realize that she didn't notice until after the show was over that she failed to meet her own standards of attractiveness. Sadly, she was so ashamed that she was unable to open up to her boyfriend and family members about her newfound depression. But there was hope. Lee won a lot of money on the show, and she still had most of it when she decided that she didn't like how she looked. So she spent it on changing her appearance. Unlike most of the people on today's list, plastic surgery was the answer to her problems rather than the cause of it. She started with some lip fillers to plump up her thin pout and proceeded to get facial fillers, Botox, and liposuction. Lee also got a handful of less invasive beauty treatments, including hair extensions, and she traded her all-pink wardrobe in for classy designer duds in more subdued shades. Needless to say, she's happy with how she looks now, and while many people frown upon cosmetic procedures, it's done wonders for her confidence and has enabled her to resume living a normal life. 4. Andrea Ivanova. In December 2019, a 22-year-old Bulgarian woman named Andrea Ivanova made international headlines for allegedly having the world's biggest lips. As you can probably imagine, she sported the classic duck face of someone who's gotten too many lip injections, but she rocked the look to an extreme level, with her pout taking up a visibly disproportionate amount of her face. The so-called Barbie wannabe reportedly got 17 injections to plump up her pucker to its massive size, and she said she was willing to do whatever it took to ensure that she continued to have the world's biggest lips. She's kept true to her word, according to the British Daily Star newspaper, which reported in late 2021 that Ivanova had gotten at least 10 more lip injections. Her transformation was documented on her Instagram account, which she updated regularly with photos of her ever-growing pout. By then, she'd spent at least £5,000, $6,193 on her lips alone, and she made it clear that she had no plans to stop getting injections. In addition to growing her lips, Ivanova said that she was looking into getting additional work done in order to make herself look even more like a plastic doll. She said that she was considering a number of procedures, including altering her jaw and chin line and enlarging her cheekbones. Andrea's exaggerated features aren't for everyone. In fact, more than a few people think she's unattractive. But her lip treatments have boosted her self-confidence and helped her to secure thousands of followers on social media, so it's working for her. 3. Martina Big. One of the world's best-known Barbie wannabes is a 35-year-old German woman named Martina Big, who is famous, or perhaps infamous, depending on how you look at it, for her deep mahogany tan and her size 32S breasts, which protrude awkwardly from her size 6 frame. In her vision, she's recreating her dream Barbie look. Big identifies as black despite having no African ancestry. She achieved her unnaturally dark complexion by regularly going to tanning beds and through injections to permanently darken her skin. Before this chapter of her life, Big, whose real name is Malaika Kubwa, worked as a flight attendant. She quit her job in 2012 to pursue modeling, acting, and her fantasy of looking like a doll. That same year, she underwent her first breast augmentation. She's had more than 23 additional breast surgeries since then. During a controversial TV appearance on the Swedish TV show Outsiders in 2017, Big confirmed that she has the biggest breasts in Europe. The following year, she traveled to Kenya, where she lived among the native Maasai and Samburu tribes. In 2019, Big revealed that she had the biggest breast implants in the world, with each implant having a 20,000 cc volume. To give you an idea of just how big that is, most breast implants start at 400 cc's. Not everyone approves of Big's plasticky look, or her even more controversial decision to permanently alter her skin tone, which has led to accusations of racial and cultural appropriation. But during her time in Kenya, a priest baptized her as an authentic Kenyan woman, and for her, that was all the approval she needed, in addition to her own satisfaction with her appearance. 2. Rachel Evans. Some women try to look like a Barbie because they're attracted to the doll's proportions or exaggerated features. But a 52-year-old single mum from Essex, England, named Rachel Evans, was attracted to the frozen appearance of a Barbie doll's face. The single mother was obsessed with all things Barbie to begin with, but this was the major selling point in her decision to move forward with the array of plastic surgery she's gotten to achieve her look, which she described as her human Barbie journey. As of 2017, Evans had undergone a breast augmentation, nose job, lip filler injections, jaw tightening, cheek augmentation, and an eye lift. By then, she'd become comfortable with openly admitting that she was addicted to cosmetic procedures. Evans kept her followers updated on her transition via her blog and on the British TV show OMG My Barbie Body, which documented her journey alongside 2 other women with similar goals. 1. Stephanie Muich. A Swedish woman in her early 20s named Stephanie Muich received her first lip injections at the tender age of just 13. When she was 17, she began getting lip fillers every month. She's kept up with her regimen ever since and has shamelessly admitted that her constantly evolving look is inspired by Barbie and Bratz dolls. In October 2019, Muich revealed that she had no plans to stop getting lip fillers. By then, she'd already had her lips, chin, cheeks, brows, teeth, smile lines, and jawline altered. She also had a breast augmentation, and at the time she was spending around £14,000, $17,340 a year on cosmetic procedures. Muich has said that she's considering additional cosmetic procedures. She admitted that she felt insecure about her nose, especially after someone she dated told her that her nose ruins her good looks. The young woman is also interested in rib removal surgery, which is meant to trim a person's waistline and enhance their curves, as well as hip implants, butt implants, a facelift, and fat removal. Stephanie's transformation is evident in her social media posts. Some might argue that she's going overboard with the plastic surgery, and that she looked good until she started going to extremes. Others have criticized her for getting any work done at all, instead of embracing her natural beauty. But, as they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and judging by Mulich's large social media fan base, there are thousands of people out there who find her wildly attractive.
Nine. Joanne Hunter. While working as a guard at a British prison in Salford, England, Joanne Hunter began an illicit relationship with an inmate named Connor Willis. During that time, she smuggled marijuana and other items into the prison for Willis. And she also sent him intimate photos. Hunter took the job in 2018. She got involved in a relationship with Willis the following year, despite initially thinking of him as arrogant. In 2020, Hunter fell under suspicion for sneaking packages into the workplace. When questioned by her superiors, she admitted to the inappropriate relationship with Willis. According to Hunter, she picked the packages up from a woman at a local Tesco store and then passed them off to a prisoner known for being a big player in organized crime. Willis offered to pay Hunter several $100s for transporting each package, but she reportedly did it for free. She also insisted to her higher-ups that the relationship between her and Willis never went past kissing. Hunter pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit misconduct in public office and bringing marijuana into the prison. She denied smuggling a cell phone into the prison. Her defense attorney depicted her as a naive, impressionable young woman who was an easy target to a seasoned criminal looking to manipulate a guard. But the claims failed to garner the kind of sympathy from the judge that the defense was looking for, and Hunter was sentenced to 3 years in prison. 8. Jade Sasha Jenks. Just days into the 2021 new year, the lifeless body of 64-year-old Thomas Merriman was found beneath a pile of trash in the driveway of his home in Encinitas, California. He had allegedly been strangled, suffocated, and drugged with prescription pills 3 days earlier on New Year's Eve. Investigators accused Merriman's stepdaughter, Jade Sasha Jenks, of killing him after discovering hundreds of explicit photos of herself on his computer. The images had been taken consensually years earlier for the young woman's ex-boyfriend, but they were never meant to fall into her stepfather's hands. According to prosecutors, Jenks worked with several co-conspirators to plot Merriman's murder and make it look like an overdose. Her defense attorney argued in court that Merriman died from poor health and a drug overdose, and that there was no evidence to suggest that he was strangled. Evidence showed that Jenks had communicated with at least one person about the crime, which a jury found her guilty of in early 2023. She continues to maintain her innocence from behind bars, while serving a sentence of 25 years to life, and her attorney has made it clear that she plans to appeal her conviction. 7. Stephen Nolan and Stephen Bear. In August 2023, media outlets reported allegations that BBC presenter Stephen Nolan had sent an explicit photograph of reality TV star Stephen Bear to several people back in 2016. At the time, Bear had recently won on the show Celebrity Big Brother. Nolan accompanied the photo with a message about how he wanted to book Bear for his talk show, Nolan Live. In a second message, he allegedly wrote, "If I don't get Bear tomorrow night, I'm sending more photos." News of the incident came on the heels of Bear's imprisonment for voyeurism and 2 counts of disclosing private photographs with the intent to cause distress. Earlier in the year, he was sentenced to 21 months behind bars for sharing a video of himself being intimate with his ex-girlfriend, Georgia Harrison. According to the media, Harrison had no idea that the encounter was being filmed. When she found out, she was upset. She made Bear promise not to show it to anyone. But he made thousands of dollars selling it on OnlyFans. During Nolan's radio show the day after the allegations regarding the photo of Bear surfaced, Nolan declined to go into detail about the incident, citing an ongoing investigation. He did apologize for his role in the situation, which was reportedly handled internally. 6. Caitlyn Cannon. Back during her teen years, a young woman from Ocean County, New Jersey, named Caitlyn Cannon, texted a collection of intimate photos of herself to her boyfriend at the time. Shortly after she sent the pictures, her boyfriend's phone was stolen. Years later, in 2018, Cannon's former high school math teacher, Christopher Doyle, allegedly posted over a dozen of the pictures online. Cannon learned about the photos via an alarming text message from a friend. It remains unclear how Doyle acquired the images, but Cannon has said that she believes her former boyfriend was being honest about his phone being stolen. According to a lawsuit Cannon filed against Doyle, the website that the photos appeared on is dedicated to sharing explicit images of unsuspecting women and contains a database that's searchable by town. The pictures were captioned with Cannon's first name and last initial. The young woman's attorneys traced the images to Doyle through subpoenas regarding the location and name of the account holder who posted them. They requested the removal of the photos and the IP address of the person who uploaded them to the site. Based on that information, they were able to reasonably conclude who was responsible. Doyle denied having any involvement with the photos throughout the court proceedings, but the judge ruled in Cannon's favor and awarded her a $10,000 settlement. By the time news of the lawsuit broke in 2023, Doyle had resigned from the school district in New Jersey where he used to teach. Cannon's attorneys believe that he's gone on to teach for another district elsewhere in the state. According to one of the young woman's lawyers, Cannon became a social worker and made it her life's work to help others who've been impacted by non-consensual sharing of their private photos. 5. Ralpho Fernandez Jr. An employee with the San Antonio Independent School District in Texas was faced with a hard choice in 2023 after her ex-boyfriend allegedly sent her intimate photos to school officials. Quit or get fired. According to the victim, it all began when she received a text message from the ex-boyfriend, 43-year-old Ralpho Fernandez Jr., containing a screenshot of racy photos he was threatening to send as revenge for ending the relationship. 3 days later, the victim was called down to the Human Resources office at her job. An email containing the compromising photos had been sent to school officials. The ultimatum to either resign or be terminated was put forth, and the woman decided to quit her job. She then went to the police and filed a complaint against Fernandez. The victim told law enforcement that the photos were meant for her ex's eyes only, and that she never gave him permission to send them to anyone else. Investigators reportedly connected the email address that sent the photos to Fernandez via his billing address and credit card information. He was arrested on suspicion of publishing or threatening to publish intimate visual materials. According to records, he was released on a $10,000 bond and ordered to have no contact with his ex-girlfriend. 4. Luke Wasi. As a woman lay in a hospital bed in Jacksonville, Florida in April 2023, her Apple Watch alerted her that 3 intimate photos and a video had been sent from her iPhone to another device. She accused a nurse, 33-year-old Luke Wasi, of leaving the room with her phone in his hand. Later that day, authorities charged Wasi with video voyeurism and cyber harassing another person. The patient told police that she had asked Wasi to use her phone to call someone and let them know that she was okay. She claimed that she unlocked the phone and handed it to the nurse, who then allegedly left the room with it. According to an arrest report, the patient yelled, "He has my phone," at some point, after becoming uncomfortable with the situation. The document further stated that the nurse returned to the room with blankets and claimed that he did not have the woman's phone, which the patient spotted in the stack of blankets that Wasi had carried in. After retrieving her phone, the woman found the sent photos and video in her recently deleted text folder. Surveillance footage appeared to capture Wasi leaving the woman's hospital room and entering a bathroom before grabbing the blankets from a nurse's station. He then returned to the patient's room. Wasi had recently been hired at the hospital where he was working when the incident occurred, and he was fired after the incident involving the patient's photos, in addition to being arrested, with the expectation that the agency will pass the information on to the state nursing board. 3. Mariah Casillus. What began as a fundraiser for a good cause ended in an abrupt shutdown for OnlyFans model Mariah Casillus, who offered to donate the proceeds of her intimate photo sales to a relief fund following the devastating wildfire in Maui during the summer of 2023. Going by the social media handle Lava Girl, the brunette bombshell was offering to send intimate photos to anyone who gave $10 to wildlife victims. Casillus raised the money through GoFundMe, and the campaign was going well. In just a few days, it raked in over $7,400. But GoFundMe was less than enthused about the effort due to some alleged violations on the platform's terms of service. A company spokesperson told TMZ that all of the donors were refunded, which meant that they got the model's intimate photos for free. After having her campaign deplatformed, Casillus took her fundraising efforts to OnlyFans. The GoFundMe representative who spoke with TMZ recommended that anyone looking to help Maui wildfire victims through the platform go through a different fundraiser, minus any that come with offers of explicit photos. 2. Mohammed Hussein. Between 2017 and 2020, a landlord from Canton, Michigan named Mohammed Hussein allegedly harassed female tenants in multiple ways. In addition to soliciting favors in exchange for housing, Hussein is accused of offering to pay tenants' utility bills in exchange for intimate photos and sending explicit photos of himself to people who did not want to receive that kind of material. According to a federal lawsuit that was filed in early 2023, many of the alleged crimes occurred during the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic, when Michigan went into a lockdown along with the rest of the United States. Given the circumstances at the time, it was especially difficult to secure housing in the state. More specifically, the lawsuit accuses Hussein of making unwanted comments, sending explicit images of himself to tenants, demanding certain acts and images from victims who were looking to rent from him, and offering certain benefits in exchange for favors and photos, including lowering their rent and charging a lower security deposit. According to the lawsuit, Hussein text messaged one woman after showing her a home and said that he had other prospective tenants who were interested in renting the same unit, but that he was trying to work with her. In one message, he allegedly wrote, "You take care of me, I take care of you." He's also accused of making other suggestive advances, which the woman responded to by telling Hussein that he was violating her fair housing rights. Federal prosecutors claim that Hussein then refused to proceed with the woman's housing application unless she paid more or conceded to his demands. Another woman said that she ended up blocking Hussein after he sent explicit photos that she did not ask for and routinely pressured her for certain favors. The same woman accused Hussein of contacting her from a different number about a year later. She didn't realize it was him, and she happened to be looking for a place to live at the time. So when she received an offer to tour a home that was available, she thought nothing of it. When she arrived at the address, she recognized Hussein from their previous encounter. Needless to say, when the landlord allegedly propositioned her yet again, she distanced herself from the situation. Prosecutors claim that these incidents reflect a broader pattern of harassment by Hussein, which has left multiple women feeling scared and harassed. When news of the lawsuit broke, the U.S. Justice Department was encouraging any additional victims to come forward with information about their experience. The case appears to be ongoing, and the outcome remains to be seen. 1. Illinois man blackmailed. In early 2023, a 64-year-old man went to the police in Brookfield, Illinois, and complained that he was being blackmailed over some intimate photos he had previously sent to someone on WhatsApp. He explained that he thought he was sending the images to a woman who was genuinely interested in him, but the next morning, he received a demand for money. In the message, the other party threatened to send the man's explicit photos to his employer, family, and friends if he did not comply with the demand for cash. Terrified by the thought of people in his life seeing the images, the man sent the blackmailer $150 in Visa gift cards. But the culprit was unsatisfied and continued demanding more money in exchange for not having the photos sent out to people they weren't meant for. The victim deleted WhatsApp from his phone, but he said he continued to receive messages from someone claiming to be an FBI agent. The messages contained demands for money. When the man made his complaint, the police informed him that the FBI would not solicit money from a member of the public, especially for blackmail purposes, and especially not in the form of gift cards. Authorities made multiple attempts to contact the other party involved in the situation, but were unable to get through. It's probably safe to assume that the blackmailer is a scammer from far away. But as this unfortunate victim has learned, the internet has made the world a lot smaller.
10. $1 million lottery ticket. During her lunch break in early 2021, Leah Rose Fiega purchased a $30 scratch-off ticket at a store near her workplace in Southwick, Massachusetts. She was in a hurry, so she scratched it off quickly. When it didn't seem to be a winner at first glance, Fiega handed the ticket over to the employee to throw away. While going through the store's trash later that night, the owner's son, Abi Shah, noticed that Fiega forgot to scratch off one of the last numbers on her ticket. He scratched it and realized that it was a $1 million winner. Shah recognized Fiega as a regular customer who worked nearby. A few days after finding the winning ticket, he stopped by her workplace and asked her to follow him. She said she couldn't since she was working, but Shah insisted. Fiega was both shocked and grateful to Shah and his parents for going out of their way to make sure the winning ticket landed in the rightful hands. She gave the family some of the award money and said that she's saving the rest for her retirement. 9. The Declaration of Independence. Drafted and adopted in 1776, the Declaration of Independence is one of the most important documents in United States history. There are 24 known surviving copies of the original, which were distributed around the country as a way to spread the news. One of the most valuable copies was discovered hidden in the frame of a painting back in 1991. Pennsylvania man purchased the framed painting at a flea market for $5 simply because he liked the frame. When he realized that restoring the frame would be a lot more difficult than he expected, he considered throwing the entire thing in the trash. While taking out the painting from the frame, the man found a folded up piece of paper. It turned out to be one of the highly coveted original copies of the Declaration of Independence, but he just assumed it was a 19th century copy. At the request of a friend, the man called Sotheby's auction house. Expert Selby Kiffer took a look at the document and was amazed. Not only was it an original, but it was in pristine condition compared to most other known copies. It was also just one of 7 unbacked copies, which only increased its value even more. Kiffer told the New York Times that the ink on the document was still wet when it was folded up, and that its remarkably preserved state could be chalked up to the fact that it was hidden in a painting for such a long time. An Atlanta businessman purchased the historic document at auction for a whopping $2.42 million. 8. First edition Harry Potter book. Shortly before the COVID-19 pandemic broke out in 2020, a British schoolteacher found 5 old Harry Potter books in a garbage can at the school where she worked in Buckinghamshire. All 4 books were later sold at auction, with each fetching a pretty penny. The highest-selling book was a hardcover copy of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, called the Sorcerer's Stone in the US, which sold for £33,000, $41,956 US. Two of her paperback copies of the Philosopher's Stone were bought for £3,400, $4,323 US, and £3,000, $3,814 US, while two other first edition books were picked up for £360, $458 US each. This wasn't the first time a rare Harry Potter book almost ended up in the trash. In 1997, a 60-year-old British book collector almost threw away his first edition copy of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone that he paid just £12.99, $16.94 for back in 1997. He was upset that the book came without a dust jacket, which made him second-guess its potential value. But he decided on a whim that he should keep it, and went to great lengths to preserve it for over 25 years. Knowing the book might be worth a lot of money someday, the collector kept it in the dark to prevent the pages from yellowing, and it was never actually read. And his efforts paid off big time. In 2023, the book sold for £69,000, $90,000 US, after a bidding war during an intense online auction. 7. Apple I computer. The original Apple computer, the Apple I, officially debuted in 1976. This outdated 8-bit machine became obsolete decades ago and is currently of little practical use. But only 200 were ever built, making it a prize collector's item that can easily go for 6 figures. The highest-selling Apple I sold for nearly $1 million at auction, but not everyone's aware of its incredible value. In 2015, a woman dropped an Apple I computer off at a Silicon Valley e-waste facility. The company, Clean Bay Area, decided to sell it at auction for $200,000. Thankfully, they were more than willing to give the original owner a fair cut of the profit. Under company policy, she was entitled to collect half of the money, which would amount to quite the lucrative payday. After selling the computer, Clean Bay Area's vice president, Victor Gichon, went to the local news hoping to track the customer down so she could get her money. He mentioned how she didn't leave any personal information when she left the computer, and that she said she found the item while cleaning out her garage after her husband's death. It's unclear whether the woman ever came forward or if she was finally identified. 6. $1 million painting. During a relaxing morning walk on Manhattan's Upper West Side back in 2003, a woman named Elizabeth Gibson saw a brightly colored painting sitting in a pile of garbage bags on the street. She didn't know much about modern art, but something about the piece spoke out to her, so she took it out of the trash. Gibson spent the next 4 years trying to find out the painting's origins, until finally she discovered on the Antiques Roadshow website that it was actually a missing masterpiece that had been stolen back in 1987. Painted in 1970 by a famous Mexican artist named Rufino Tamayo, the piece is called Tres Personas. A Houston-based collector bought it for $55,000 in 1977 as a gift for his wife. It was later stolen from a storage warehouse 10 years later while the couple was in the process of moving. By the time it was recovered, the husband had already passed away, and his widow decided to sell it. The painting sold for $1,049,000 at a Sotheby's auction in 2007. It was bought by an anonymous American collector through a phone bid. 5. The Goldman Sachs mystery laptop. In the wake of the housing bubble that catastrophically burst in 2008, triggering the Great Recession, the Securities and Exchange Commission filed a lawsuit against a single man, former Goldman Sachs trader Fabrice Tour. The previously unknown 28-year-old was accused of being involved in the sale of Abacus, one of the mortgage securities investments that greatly contributed to the resulting bubble. When Tour's name first popped up in the news, it rang a familiar bell for a woman named Nancy Cohen, whose second-hand laptop held a trove of information about Tour's and the SEC lawsuit. Cohen informed the press that a friend of hers had given her the laptop back in 2006 after finding it in the trash and realizing it was still in good working order. In fact, the device didn't even have a password to protect it. It was connected to Torres's email address, and correspondence continued to steadily stream into the laptop. Cohen ignored the emails until the Abacus scandal broke out publicly, at which point she realized she had something incredibly important and potentially damning in her possession. She reached out to several newspapers and media outlets about her findings and gave the materials to the New York Times because they were the first to return her call. A friend of the woman, named Curtis Ellis, told NBC News that the discovery of the controversial content proved to be a curse for Cohen, who felt like she had a duty to share what she found. When questioned about conspiracy theories claiming that Cohen hacked into Torres's email account, Ellis laughed, saying that the woman needed help even getting into her own email account. The Times also denied hacking into Torres's email or having anyone do it for them. In a statement, the newspaper reassured the public that all the documents used in its exposé were obtained through legal means. 4. $25,000 cash. In 2001, while cleaning out their grandmother's home in Oberlin, Ohio, a family threw the contents of the woman's fridge and freezer straight into the trash. By the time the grandmother told her relatives that she had $25,000 worth of cash in an envelope in the freezer, its contents were already well on their way to the local landfill. A family member frantically called Republic Services, the waste management company that picked the garbage up that day, and told them of the situation. Employees scrambled to find the driver of the truck that picked up the trash. If the driver had already made it back to the landfill, the money would have never been found. A company spokesperson told Newsweek that when garbage gets dropped off, it's continuously smoothed over, bulldozed, and covered up with dirt. Thankfully, the driver was still on the road, and the company reached him in time to stop him from visiting the landfill. He brought the garbage back to the Republic Services Recycling Center, where employees rummaged through it until they found the missing money. Thankfully, the search only lasted 10 minutes before the cash was found. While it's not uncommon for people to accidentally throw out cash, this was the largest amount that operations manager Dan Show had seen in his 30 years working for the company. 3. Savings bonds. While doing a hired clean-out of a home in Saugus, Massachusetts back in 2012, a few workers for the junk depot company asked for the homeowner, Marie Veloso, about the contents of a hope chest they found. She said that she didn't want anything in it, so the employees took the chest off the property. Later that day, the company's owner, Leo Guarenti, took a closer look at the chest's contents. In it, he found an envelope filled with $21,000 worth of saving bonds from 1972. With interest factored in, the bonds were worth almost $114,000. After narrowly sparing the valuable discovery from the trash, Guarenti called Veloso and said that he had something she might want. Needless to say, when Veloso and her brother Joe answered the door and learned about the bonds, they were shocked. Guarenti said he felt good knowing that he helped someone out, especially considering the potentially life-changing amount of money the bonds were worth. 2. Freedom Tower blueprints. After working as an architect who helped design the famous Freedom Tower in New York City, Joseph Solomon held on to a copy of the building's original blueprints as a keepsake. While cleaning out his home after he passed away in 2017, the architect's daughter, Amy Lee Solomon, mistook the blueprints for trash and threw them away. An observant bypasser named Jake Haas noticed the blueprints and thought they were probably valuable. He took them out of the trash and sold them to a local pawnshop owner named Angelo Argello. The blueprints were then put up for sale, although it's unclear how much they went for. Amy Lee Solomon said she was grateful that her father's contribution to a New York landmark was being acknowledged. Believe it or not, this wasn't the first time Freedom Tower blueprints were discovered in the trash. In 2008, before the skyscraper was built, a homeless man found 2 confidential sets of blueprints in a city garbage can in Manhattan's Soho neighborhood. The title on each copy read "Secure Document Confidential," and according to experts, the plans held enough details for terrorists to plot an attack, begging the question of who tossed the documents and why. While they weren't complete sets of blueprints, they were filled with sensitive details of the building, including floor plans and the locations of air ducts, elevators, electrical systems, support columns, and more. At the very least, it would enable an ill-willed individual to identify structural vulnerabilities. Port Authority officials said the accidental dumping of the plans was an egregious security lapse. One of the packets was missing about 14 pages, making the situation even more concerning. And authorities were lucky that the man who located the blueprints was honest enough to turn them back in, instead of trying to sell them. It's probably safe to assume that whoever threw away the blueprints was probably in hot water with their employer. 1. Mayan artifacts. In 2004, a garbage removal company owned by a New Yorker named Nick DeMola was hired to clean out the apartment of a recently deceased abstract artist named Clinton Hill. While at the job site, DeMola found a mysterious cardboard barrel in the trash. He looked inside and saw what appeared to be ancient Mexican artifacts. Realizing that he'd just stumbled upon something valuable, he took the barrel out of the trash and put it in his warehouse. DeMola quickly forgot about the items until 5 years later, when he rediscovered the barrel and finally followed through on his plans to inspect it. It contained dozens of bowls, figurines, and jugs that dated back between 300 BC and 500 AD, some of which were made by the ancient Mayans. After telling the New York Daily News that he had plans to sell the artifacts, DeMola caught the attention of the Mexican government. He was disappointed when officials from the country announced their intentions to have the collection sent back to Mexico without any reward money. The ultimate fate of the artifacts and whether DeMola profited from the discovery is currently unclear. Thanks for watching. Would you rather accidentally throw $500 away and not get it back, or accidentally throw away your passport while traveling abroad? Let us know in the comments below.